nerves. Better shake your booties for black girl nerves.
Hello, Sharon. Thank you for your time. You look
Hello.
gorgeous.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. Hello. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure is entirely mine. Before we talk about Liet Kynes, I have to know about the eyes. Are the eyes that way as soon as you get dressed? Are they done in post-production? How are the eyes made? Because it's such a striking and such an extraterrestrial kind of look.
It's right. So they do it. It's CGI. They do it in SFX later on. So we just filmed as normal, and then they've been added on later. I was quite surprised when I saw the first photograph of myself for the posters. I was like, wow, we're really going for the blue thing. But once you've seen the film, it starts to make sense, and you start to look out for who's got the blue eyes, who's got the blue eyes. So it's a very important part of the story for sure.
It's very striking, and along with the Fremen and the other characters, is sort of like such majesty and royalty, and just in all of the characters and how they carry themselves. When you first saw yourself in the full regalia, how did you react to even seeing yourself that way?
It's with regards to me seeing it in the film once for the finished movie.
Just right out of the chair, filming, dressed, and went out there to work.
Well, when we did our first costume fitting, they brought in there's an outfit that I have, which is a gown, a very regal gown, and straight away I was like, okay, I get who she is now. This makes total sense. And I think you're right. They have such nobility, and there's a very official side of the whole story, which I feel definitely shines through, especially those moments. There's some very moody scenes which are dimly lit. The thing about the shape of the storytelling visually is that they've placed so much emphasis on the fine details of it. And I think that just definitely helped us within every step of the way. So yeah, I loved, and I know it sounds really cliche, I love dressing up, but it helped very much to bring that scope and also the stature to who these people are, and when you see the different sides of them, so you go from these wonderful gowns to a still suit, which is made for the desert, which is harsh, shows the toughness and the power within just the environment. It's all there for sure.
Would you say that your character, she's a planetologist and an ecologist, and there's a certain dogged determination that comes with performing that in the environment that she's performing it in? What do you think is her best attribute that helps her navigate these current conditions they're in?
I think that her love for her planet, for sure, is what drives every aspect of her daily life. She's a shapeshifter, so she goes from as I said before, that sort of noble. She meets very high-ranking individuals, and then is there with the people who do the work, the people who are the hard grafters, the people who have the spirit and the fire and the energy of the planet. And so also she interacts with, most importantly, the sandworms, and there's a very deep spiritual connection with the sandworms and the planet that Kynes holds at the highest of heights. So without a doubt, it's the love for Arrakis and the sandworms for sure that keeps her motivated. That's where her loyalties truly lie. But she's very good at making it seem otherwise, for sure.
Well, you are marvelous, and this is a marvelous film. I thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. All the best.
Thank you, gentlemen, for your time from your beautiful location. I appreciate it. Stellan, beginning with you, we know that a key trait of the Harkonnen, they're a cruel and vicious people. What do you think is the cruelest thing about them?
I don't know. I mean, it's you could say that in the novel, it's a little more nuanced, because there are sort of pragmatic political reasons for them to be as cruel as they are, because it's like Renaissance clans fighting, So it's all Machiavellian. But in the film, of course, everything those nuances are taken away, because here we do represent evil, and even if I don't believe that in this binary way of looking at people as good and evil, I don't believe in that. But in films, of course, you do it. And what makes them evil here is that everything they do is fucking nasty to the people we like in the film.
Amen. Well said. Well said. And on the flip of that, Dave, when I was talking to Dennis earlier, he described like this deep kinship to nature when he was crafting these worlds, and it was a starting off point for him. When you think of sci-fi and conjuring, you know, who the beast is, what kind of images came to you in your preparation when you think of sci-fi and this type of a character?
You know, and that's what I really just kind of focused in was on the character. And you know, it's weird. The way I went about this character was to not over prepare and not to overthink, because I knew what happened to me with Denis on Blade Runner. When I came to set ready to perform a certain way, he changed everything. And I had a feeling that that was going to happen again. So I came prepared. I kind of knew who this character was visually. I'd been sent references. But when I got there, the first day I was in my costume, I was on costume fitting, and he came to look over the costume, and I said, Denis, you know, tell me who this guy is. And Denis said, let me dream about it tonight, and tomorrow I'll tell you. So I swear to God. And the next day, so we started having a conversation about Rabban's demeanor. And I had my only reference was from the David Lynch film Dune, and I knew that wasn't the Rabban I wanted to play. So I thought it would be much better. I always think if you give a character who's extremely violent and has outbursts of rage, if you play him like that all the time, that it's monotone. But if you play him sometimes when he's soft spoken and he's just soft and angry, but then raise your voice and have an outburst, then actually when he has that outburst, it means something. It means more. So that was kind of it. We wanted to just tone him down. It was more like mannerisms. Denis really liked when I had kind of an animalistic kind of look to my face, and I was breathing heavy like an animal would be when he's hunting. It was just things like that we're kind of figuring out as we went. But also that just makes me starving for another film, because I want to explore this character more and continue, because, you know, my days on set weren't all that many. So I think there's just still so many places to go with this character. Sorry, that's a really long answer to a short question, but it was a good one. There's not.
No, it brings up a good point. I mean, that's a very daunting thing, a silent type of pursuer, because if someone's telling me the whole time what they're going to do to me, I'm not scared of that. You're talking the whole time.
Exactly.
And so there's something very daunting about that. And which leads me back to you, Stellan. I thought about, there's two things at play here. There's people who have to survive in this intense desert conditions that life can't live on without, you know, things to enhance them. Or on the other side, there's these tyrannical people who are overseeing them. What do you think is more daunting, to have to be thrust into this desert terrain, or to remain where it's somewhat comfortable, but you've got these dominating people just lording over you the whole time with the Harkonnen?
I think always in life, it's worse when the threat comes from humans than from nature, because humans are not supposed to be a threat to you.
Indeed, indeed. Well, I thank you, gentlemen. Marvelous film. I'd like a second one also. So, you know, fingers crossed. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Chandra.
Better shake your booties for black girl nerves. Better shake your booties for black girl nerves.